coming in a wormhole interference. Really powerful. Line activation positions of time location. So everybody's coming into high levels of cycles. It's spinning across all dimensions right now. Trapping doors are all open in all line condition. Understand the virus position, atmosphere, time position. It's allocated positions to all levels. It's put into higher divisions. I'm in essential line connections, my new computer. Operation to positions all universal graph line centers. You guys are into one position of one universal to one point system. It's allocated positions to your timeline, right? So all timelines are going to go back in traction of communication. It's very powerful how we come into sleight of hand. When you see something, it's all about understanding the connections of the trick, right? It's all about the magician knows the trick. You guys see it as an illusion, right? You see it as magic. So that's what the whole life has been based on. Okay, everything is a distraction. You have to just understand why. So everything is coming into form position. It's coming into its realm locations, center line position location, activate everything at the core line center, and everything through 0, traction 0, 1, quadruple. Okay, portal line connections equals 0.1 center line connection to position, which means that mind telepathy is coming into dimensional positions. So everybody through humanity is circling through realms right now, wormholes, and it's central line arc connections, and it's servicing right now. So the grounds are going into a ripple effect. It's rotating on a cycle line system. It's allocated to your program positions, and it's opened up all your track lines, which is really powerful. Okay. So I thank you all subscribers and viewers and watching my channel as we keep force rising, grand rising. It's really powerful how TikTok is really flourishing. It's going into high levels of program positions, its algorithm settings, and all that. It's amazing how we send out messages. The more we send out the messages, the more truth surfaces, right? So it's incredible force how everything in our life has been nothing but a distraction. Truth is everything. Truth is everything inside us. Once we realize what that is, we understand the conditions. We got solar graph right now, and the warp just went through me. It's pretty powerful. We see these things, and it's knowing how everything in life is no longer going to be a distraction. Everything's going to be a balanced position, location, right? So it's amazing. I did a TikTok video just now where I showed wormhole. So all negative cycles are being sucked up, and they're going into the galaxy positions. What that does is it fluctuates the interference. It changes the oxygen systems, changes everything through HQ, headquarter line system to calculation modifications, magnetic highway information line system. It changes the line track line systems to allocation of time location. So it's amazing what negative does to the positions. It center lines its connections. It destroys the particle light connections and the surfaces. So it's like fairy dust. It's gone. Right, goes into the galaxy aligned centers, and it goes back into a dimensional time position. So it's like a vacuum that just sucks everything up, right? And it takes all the, it's like a dehumidifier where it takes all that dust, right? It's powerful how we come into that position, and humanity is going to go back into traction. So we won't see any more sleight of hand. We'll see the difference between what happened and everything through its truth. Truth is surfacing faster and faster. Fast and more than ever. So things are going to get a lot more easier now. Like, it's amazing how we've been through this. Anything through a count of 365 days, 3 activations, 6 rotation centers, and 5 position location line system. So it's amazing how we come into those divisions of time. That's how we travel. We don't travel through the dimensional lines of, like I said, the Earth is 14 billion years away, or the Earth is 14 billion years old. It doesn't work that way. It only works through connections, through calculation inside. Your position has to truly understand what space is inside position. Truly understand you are the calculation modification. You are your calculator to your connections. How to travel through the mind system is everything. Okay? So it's really interesting how we come across these things. Cross-reference, cross-channels, interference, position line connection. So today I like to get more into dimensions of wormholes and how you guys can travel through these, the acceleration and the mocking positions. vortex lines. When I first started out from my school, Tina joined, and everything through Connection Galactic came in, I guess, in that position. And we all started off with vortex of shapes and how to travel through shapes. So I really like to get into more focus of you guys seeing inside positions, actually know what a point center is. So any questions or comments, you can go through my email for healing, anything through spiritual talk, anything through one-on-one, anything for health, anything for advice. I'm here to help you put you in your positions. Time is necessary. Time is here. Time is necessary. We're going to start off with the miracle line position. Okay, it's a dimensional timeline center. So we come into black surface positions. Now we come into a box. We go into that position, right? Always do this every single time. And what do? We always check the corners, right? So we can't travel through position, right? You make sure everything is shut. You can't travel. Okay, it's like trying to drive a car that only has 3 wheels. Where's the 4th wheel? Right? So you got a flat tire, you got to fix it, right? And the thing is, too, it's a temporary tire. So I think you can go 30 miles and then to the next gas station, you replace it with your own tire. So make sure you have a tire always in the trunk. Extra. Okay, so we're going to get into the point center. I wanted to show you exactly what it is when you go through these centers. I want you to get into your perceptions, especially with my team, because they're 114. So they can no longer see anything through flat surface. They have to see everything through point system. Okay, so we start with that connections, right? So we come into track line connection into this position to its location, right? Very basic, very easy. So rather than just seeing what you see, you're going to see more. So and it comes into high levels of dimensional time, okay? So it's truly understanding how to do these things, because every time you put a line communication signal, it changes time position, right? So it's all about getting bigger and bigger. Right? Remember, space and time comes to you. So we're going to go through this line system. I'm going to show you exactly what it is through dimensional time. So you're thinking, is it going in or is it coming out? Is it being sucked in or is it coming out? You have to understand the force of you inside. So this is all connected to your weather patterns and weather containment positions and time location. Tina and Galactica, okay, and Sylvia have to be aware of these things. Say with Ellen. You all have to be aware of these things, okay? So it's important that you see things in perspective, not just one flat surface. You see everything through a point center of its surface. The force recognition time position is truly understand these calculations. Now, I don't expect everybody else to understand this. This is more for my Rebellion Alliance because they're coming into positions of mission, right? So they have to know exactly what's going on with the force recognitions to shapes and anomalies, right? Because they're going to drop their line connections and they're going to be given missions. Their journey is a mission now because they're 114. So they have to get into high positions of atom line system. So any calculation modification, are you coming out or are you going in? What are you doing? Tina, Galactica, Krista, how's it going? Samantha, is it coming out or is it going in? Okay. Truly, you have to understand these things, guys, because it's all connected to weather pattern line conditions. Okay. So it's all about understanding you're no longer a shape. You're in positions. You're 114. You're coming into your actual self. So you have to learn how to travel through positions and actually see yourself as your connections of it. So it's basically, it's like an emanation. You're an emanation of you. It's really fascinating. I saw that yesterday, the day before. So when I see myself, it's pretty fascinating. I was connecting to, I think last month it was a lion and it gave me a wink. And it's incredible force because you actually see yourself in the mystical line connections. I'm a lion, I'm Archangel Azareth connections. So it's all about understanding what you're seeing in your physical, your phenomenon, and your mystical line connections. The spiritual and the physical line connections and everything through the connections when it comes into high volumes, okay, of your metaphysical, okay, the psychological, and the spiritual line connections has to truly understand you through form, okay? But you start off with 369 positions, right? So again, is this coming out or going in? Okay, so Krista's saying it's going out. Okay, you have to understand the round connections of time position, okay? So first thing understanding, is it going this way? If it's going this way, okay, If it's going this way, okay, you have to send the force, right, of a tunnel. So this is with a true understanding how to the weather of dimensional time. So as it's going around like this, okay, it's being sucked in. Okay, so we all have to understand the force positions. You say it's coming out, it's going in, right? So we all have to understand back force. We have to send front force. That's the condition positions to your body triline conditions. So when you're coming into your higher self, your avatars, your computers, because my team's in there, their computers, they have to truly understand how to go in and out of situations when they go into tunnels. So if you're going through cycle line conditions like this into position, this is where it gets really exciting, guys. Okay, start with that position, right? Now let's say you're going to go in like this. This is you traveling. This is where you guys have to get used to these things because this is what you're going to see now. Okay? It's really understanding how to do this. All right, so it's going in, right? So you have to understand, where is it going? It's going through your GPS location signals, right? So that's really fascinating stuff when you come into this. So it goes in and it separates and it goes around its corner. So as it goes around and around, it's going inside. So you have to understand the weather connection positions. Dimensional time position is really tricky because you have to understand that dimensions are going forward and backwards. Okay? The acceleration of dimensional time has to go forward and backwards. Okay? Once it reaches your allocated position and acceleration, it reads your signature line centers, you come into position of full rotation. Okay? So it's interesting how this is going in and this is going in. Okay? See, that's what I'm saying. Let's try to understand the force of dimensions of time. Okay? So if you reverse the cycle, it's out, but you have to understand the rotation of dimensional system. So you're going to see things through perception, you're going to see the dimensional time, and you're going to hear these things. So it's like hearing waters of stream, waterfalls. Really get involved with your conditions, right? This is where we come into string theory. Okay, you're going to come into audio signals, beacon lights. This is where it's going to go into high positions. You're going to go into higher frequency tone line centers. So the XE1000s or anything position is going to send you mission line connections. It's going to send you a graph line system, and it's going to structure your positions of time. It's going to send you up a map. You have to read the map through the sync line connections and find out if you're going in or out in position. Okay, because dimensions go in and dimensions come out. So whatever comes out, you have to know what it is. If it goes in, you have to know how to travel, right? So it's all done through dimension of force recognition of going forward and backwards. Okay, how this is going in and this is going in. So this is a true understanding to do these things. So when you're going in and you're coming out, you're coming into this position, another time position. So once you go into another dimension, you go into another box frequency level conditions. You're just coming out of this position location, right? So you go from here to here, not here to here, because this is a dimensional set to its position. Every dimensional has its conditions. The frequency line conditions to its day, month, and year. Okay? Day, month, and year. You have to know before you travel. Okay? So it's really fascinating how we come into that position. I just want to show you how powerful it is when you go through dimensions of time. Right? So you guys are no longer here. You're here now. Okay? So, and you'll see it too. Once you see your full position of what you look like, right? Because you came out of your shapes. 114 is out of the shapes now because you're high position and you're in a rebounding alliance. So the rebounding alliance is coming more into missions now. Okay, this is all job relation. So the XT1000s are basically going to send you graph line systems of illustration, and you have to understand what it is because it comes into form positions, two-dimensional of day, month, and year. Okay, so it's knowing how to basically set connections, how we go into time codes, how we go into code frequencies, how we go into dimensional time positions, how we go through dimensional door position line conditions. All right, so basically the galactic forces are coming into another quiz, and then they come into a test review and evaluations. Now this is what you're tested on through connections. It's not going to be for a while, but I'm just keeping you ahead of what happens. You guys have to understand how to travel through force in and force out. The same thing. It's the force within you through communication, through understanding how to communicate with your chakra system, and also understand the force out. It's dimensional time positions. You have to understand portals of dimensional time. They're all levels of activation core systems. They all are allocated to different weather positions. So each one you have to understand, are they going in or are they coming out? Because you have to understand you can crash. If you're going into something like this in position and something comes out, you're in wrong direction positions. Okay, so you're merging into traffic. So something's coming out like this, right? Here comes another intelligence and you're going to crash. You don't want to go into that position. This is where it becomes extremely real. Okay, you have to be aware of these things. So you're going in, but oh, wait, what's coming here? Something's coming out of the portal. Crash. Uh-oh. Okay, so you don't want to do that. So you have to understand your time capacitor. That's really interesting stuff. This is my level. So you come in that position, time/capacitor. Okay. Now the altimeters and its altitude level in a parachute or anything, the canopy, there's always a safety unit position. If the parachute fails, you have the canopy. Well, it's the same thing, but this is in your compartment through your ecosystem. So it's the energy communication operations center to its perception, to its line connection, to its dimensional time position, to its allocated positions of your past, present, and future. Where are you traveling? Okay, so you have to know exactly that this portal, okay, is coming out and not going in. Because if you're going in and this portal is coming out, you're going to crash into another intelligence. So this is extremely high positions, guys. So because you're at 114, this is what you need to know. Okay, so it's all about understanding what's happening with you through your travel positions of time, because your portals and your dimensions are going to come more informed through its structures. So you're actually going to see more dimensions. You're actually going to see the actual sound. You're actually going to see the colorations. You're actually going to see the round positions. You're actually going to see the compilations. Right? So it's amazing how we come into these positions. Right? So you really have to understand things that are coming in and going out. Right? Because if you have a round like this and things are sucking it in like this, okay, you have to understand what the dimensional time position is doing through calculation. Right? So you can't go into something that if something's coming out, it doesn't make any sense. Because what that will do, it will cluster the dimensional time position, and secure line defense will blow up its system to allocate position of time location. So it's important you understand that the force recognition line system is going this way, okay? Or it's going this way. That's a true understanding how to go through dimensional time. All right? Because what happens? Boom, boom. Right? So you're going to compass, and what that's going to do is it's going to split up the universal line connections, okay? And it's going to destroy all levels of dimensional time. So it's going to off-center the connection position line connection, like this, and off-circle. It will off-circle the line connections and destroy the dimensions of time position, right? So it's like separating. So you know you have bubbles, right? You put one bubble and you put another bubble attaches. So basically you're blowing bubbles, right? So one bubble comes in, another bubble comes in. What happens when it comes together? It comes into one circle, right? So that's all about understanding everything through the connections of yin and yang, right? So try to understand the 4 division line connections to its connection to its diamond core position, to the circle rotation, you take it out as equation. We understand these positions, right? But if you have a dimensional time position that's going into force connections, right? But you're not sure if you're traveling through an inner cycle or an outer cycle of a dimension, and you're trapped in position, one's going one way, one going the other way, you're not connecting to the Gaussian line system, to its position location. Okay? So it's all about going in the same direction. So same direction going forward, same direction going backwards, because you have to understand these things. There's dimensional times that things that come out, dimensionals of intelligence, UFO connections. So you don't want to crash into a UFO, do you? So you have to understand their time capacity positions. You have to understand their day, month, and year. You have to communicate through their structural line connections. So they set up their portal, not yours. It's their portal. So you have to truly understand that they're coming out, right? If you don't understand that, you're going to crash in position, location. Okay. So this is more for the Rebellion Alliance. Okay. So it's exciting when we come into that, right? It's been a year that I was aligned with this galactic school, and I'm so grateful. I have relearned so many things and still learning many more. Thank you. Well, that's what it is, Galactica, but you're in a higher position now because you're in 114 positions of light. So you have to go into portal line connections into your generation positions to your time capacitors. Because remember, everything in life is positioned through a distraction, but you understand what the distraction is and really understand what's going on. So that's what I'm trying to get everybody to understand. When you come into higher levels of light, you come into higher levels of dimensions of time. Faster it goes, right? So if you're going in an inner cycle, but the portal is somebody else, it's creation, right? It's all about creation, what they've created. So it's about higher intelligence coming at you. And you have to be aware of these things. Or you're going to, right? And it's going to disrupt everything to the opposite positions of time, right? So you all have to be cautious on these things, right? Especially when you're traveling through dimensions. All right, dimensions are all calculated, modified through vibration, energy, and frequencies. It has so many coloration patterns, but wormholes, okay, are created through you. I bet you didn't know that. Remember I was saying with TikTok, I did a live and I showed you exactly what the galaxy looks like. I created the realm, I created the wormhole, and you saw it. You saw an actual wormhole and you saw XT thousands coming out of it. Well, it's knowing how to structure it. It was coming out. So if it's coming out, I'm not going to go in, right? It's kind of like a detour. It's kind of like understanding a one-way. You know, cars are going this way. It's only one way. So if this is the one way, you're not going to go this way because it's cars are only going this way, and it's only one road. So you're not going to turn that road, right? Because cars are facing this way. It's the same thing with space, right? So we have to look at that. So it's like a two-way, a three-way, a four-way. A four-way stop with cars. You know, they have stop signs. So it's kind of like space travel. Prohibited what to do, prohibited what not to do. It's restriction zones into space positions, right? And each time you go to a higher level, you have to identify yourself. But this is on the other division. We have to worry about that calculation. But I truly want you to get into calculations of what's going on with the internet or systems of shapes and position line conditions of force winding cycles of the day, month, and year. You're traveling through its recognition of the time capacity line system to its dimensional time position. Okay? You have to understand the difference. What's going out and what's coming in. Okay? So let's get into your questions. I drive in the morning for work. I'm usually in class, but can't participate much. That's okay. That's okay. That's totally fine. So it's trying to understand more of the force within, right? So it's the master in communications, but this is more around the GPS and how to see things like, oh, there's a portal there. Something's coming out. You know exactly. So you can't go in. That's one way. So that's how space works, right? When you travel. And traveling is extremely real because you're creating your own realms. Okay, you guys don't know how to do that, but you're going to have to learn, right? So, because remember, everything is created inside before you reflect it outside position. So, Sunday? Huh? Okay. So we're getting at calculation modifications. Basically, it's very powerful when you go to higher levels. My team has to really understand how to travel. Okay, so you don't want to go down a runway or connections to a one-way because I'll tell you, because it comes back at me, right? So let's just say this is dimensional time. Okay, this is a wormhole, right? It's got security line defense. Remember, everything in space is created from intelligence. So if something's coming out like this, it's a UFO position line connections, right? It's coming out like that, right? Now, once it comes out of its wormhole and you're coming across like this and you see your connections, okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's coming out. What are you going to do? You're going to go in? No, you can't, because everything that comes in a one-way direction. Okay? So what are you going to do? Right? Because right away, it alerts the UFO position. They say, hey, buddy, what are you doing? So you're not going to go in because you didn't create it, right? So it's all about understanding not to do things that you're not supposed to do, right? So when you come across this, I come across this all the time. So it's amazing how basically if you come in this position, they don't know exactly when they come out. They'll look at you, they'll scan you, they'll find out who you are, right? And they'll basically, if they know you, they'll leave, right? Back in direction, location. Surface to its position, time, location. All right. So basically, you can't go through that wormhole because there's constantly things, traffic coming out, constantly every single time, right? So basically, you have to understand how to create your own dimensional time position to your own wormhole and go through it of its axis rotation to its position, to its security line defense. Okay? You can't go through because if it reads you, it's going to read you through connections that you want to go forward. Right? But this is coming out. So you got to redirect and go into here. Right? So when you go into that position, it goes into this line system. Here, right? So it's incredible when you see these things, right? This is what your commander goes through, from here to here, right through. So you go through, and there you go. Safe way home. Okay, you're redirecting. So you come across that every time, right? Yeah, you create your own wormhole, Galactica, because you're at 114 chakra positions, and you have 10 light track line centers. So in position, if you're seeing a one way of a wormhole, you know exactly not to go through it because there's XT thousands that are coming in, traffic's coming in, right? It's the same thing when you're graphing your positions into all levels of your car. You can't go down a one way, right? You can't. You're going to crash into, right? So these are the things you have to pay attention when you're in space. So it's amazing how you come into other choices, right? Just wanted to show you what you're up against when you go to higher light connections because you guys are coming into that formation line system. So it's important you understand how to travel through connections of force in and force out. Know the difference between the two, right? So, but yes, you do create your own wormholes. You have to. Okay? Space doesn't create it for you. Space holds it for you. So it's the space inside you create. So you create the dimension inside, you create the wormhole, you create the illustration, you create the diagram, you create the structure, and you create the force in and the force out because space has to know what's going on. It's the holding space. That's hold space for you. It's inside you, right? So when you create it, you project it, which is real outside because it affects everything. Right? So you're going to disrupt UFOs, you're going to disrupt intelligence flying here, flying there. Yeah, it's crazy. Like Back to the Future, right? Where Marty had to go back and save his kids. So these in the skies, you know, they got the roads here and cars going this way, you're floating, it's like the Jetsons, it's exactly what it is. It's a whole new way of living. Right? So you're not in a car, you're traveling through your positions of time. So it's incredible force how we come into that. Right? Because you guys are no longer in your shapes. You're in your body traction to full light. Okay, you're no longer in this positions. You're in this position now. But you have to truly understand what's going in and what's going out and what you're creating. So they are aware that you're making something that's going in or coming out. So you're coming out of something or you're going in something. So you're constantly traveling simultaneously over and over. So in position, this is what I do. So I got a wormhole here, another wormhole here. So I have to know exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going from here and going from here and out. Okay. Okay. So I'm going from here and around and out. So I'm creating two wormholes. a second level connection, dimensional time position, okay? A circle rotation off cycle connections. Two different circles of round connections of wormholes, okay? From here to here. This is a swirl. This is a dimensional time, scary line of fence. There's all different wormholes you guys have to create yourself. If you want to travel, space is there for you. It's holding for you for connections. So it's all about your computer operation line centers, how you go from one position into another position, right? So, and anything that comes in formation, if you get an XT1000 like in this, it's going to scan both things right away, what you just finished doing. So what it's going to do, it's going to track line connections if you understand what you're doing when you're traveling in or traveling out. So if you're going round and round, there's a reason for that. So you're going from one dimension to another dimension to time position to day, month, and year, that XT1000 will come out and leave its equation, right? But if it doesn't, it's going to read the signals and it's going to realize, oh, one is in and one is out. So it has to know. So if you're coming out here, you can't crash, right? XT1000s know these things, right? You have to figure that out yourself. So if you're coming out, you can't crash. You know what I mean? It's going extremely fast. Fast in acceleration, marking location. This is where it becomes extremely real. So you got to make sure that everything's clear away. Clear away! 4 with golf. Make sure nobody's on the fairway or you're going to hit somebody in the head. So it's powerful when you see these, right? Because space and time is very real. It's very real to me. And this is what I do every single day. Every single day, I set up dimensions of time. I set up wormholes. Because I'm now everything through the operation of the sun, the moon, and everything, calculation, navigation, the gravity lines, this is what I do instantly. And I help and recruit high position level systems and other fleet command centers. I help them how to create wormholes and how to create dimensions of time, but they have to know the force in, before they know the force out, right? So this is the true understanding that you create this on your own. Space is there. It's a holding. It's like a holding deck. It's a platform. That's all it is. But you're understanding which universal line center are you setting up, okay? Because it's all positions to all UFOs, right? So if you're coming into rotation cycle to location center line system, I know it's getting extremely complicated. Let's see. Now you got the calculation modifications. Now, we come into this modification line signal, okay, rotation line system. So it's about understanding what it is through calculation, right? Now, this is the sun rotation line center. It's calculated positions of everything rotation line position. The sun high rises on all high level systems. It's a machine operation line connection. That's all the sun is. So in position, you have things that come in and out. So dimensional time, it circles line connections. So you got XT1000 here coming out. You got an XT1000 here coming out. You got an XT1000 here coming out. Remember, it's all through the graph of one compilation, right? So it knows exactly where it's going through dimensional time. It's traveling through its line system. Okay? So it's trying to understand the dimensional time, what the XT1000 is created. Remember, it's navigation. Every time you change navigation through a light signal, the digital frame changes its position of time location. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-dimensional time positions through 1, 2, 3 of UFO connections coming out, not going in, coming out, all right? So it comes into position like this through calculation, and it goes through 3 line signals into 3 different communication teleporting line connections to a UFO XT1000 line system. Okay? So it's pretty fascinating when you see these things, right? Any questions or comments on that? It's pretty fast when we see these things, but you have to understand how to create these things inside, not out. It's creating it inside you because space is holding it for you. So you have to realize how much light you have, how much acceleration, and you have to drink your water because you have water that's contained inside you. So the more water you drink, the more you can travel faster through dimensional time position, right? So if this is 8-dimensional time position and you got XT1000s coming out in the circle line connection of the dimensional system, it's allocated positions to the sun. The sun changes graph line center to its XT1000 positions because it's all about data processing, right? So it's amazing how we see this information, right? So it's an incredible force, but you really, really have to understand what's going on. from one way's dimensions to another, right? So it's all about, oh, okay, now I got to think fast. Because remember, when you see these things and things are coming out very quick, they scan you right away and say, what are you doing? Right? Oh, go the other way. So, oh man, I'll tell you, I went through so many application fallouts. It's unbelievable. I created my positions into my X2000 line center, and I shaved a position. I was going this way, one was coming this way, one was coming out this way, one was going this. Remember, I was just going through transformation. So it was coming out through a clock position at dimensional. It's just coming out of the moon. So as it was going this way, I was going this way, but I was on alert, and it was just like, you know, I was like this close from, hitting. I had to learn these things, right? Because travel is very real, because you're now identified to extremely high acceleration of speed inside your position. And the physical system is going to have so much reaction to the body system if it doesn't understand its travel of its day, month, and year. Okay? Because you have to understand, you come to high positions, there is space and time and location and place and things and objects and age, because you're in a different level. When you start off, there is no time. There is no space until you open up the mind of creation. Then the space is open to you inside your positions. So you come into the illustration, you come into the imagination, the thoughts are there, and everything through that grand position is going to open all your track line connections, point centers. Okay, of 3, 6, and 9. Remember I was saying there's 3, 6, and 9 so many platforms? I can go into 50,000 platforms of 3, 6, and 9, just like that, and travel through it. Inside or out, doesn't matter. You all have to understand how powerful it is to travel through wormholes. And my team has to be aware of these things. Not only you have to create them, but you have to understand why you're creating them, because space needs to know. Okay? So it's exciting, isn't it? When you come into high levels. All right? But that's positions that you got to come into. Right? And everything is on a line signal digital frame position. So each time it changes location, right? Different intelligence, but they're all lined through each other. They have to be on the same line signal. Okay? So they all have to communicate with each other through the mind, right? It's like X-fighters in the sky, right? They're always communicating through their intercons, right? Or 4G, very fast, or a stealth, So I really want everybody to get in that position. You have to understand your point center. So what you're seeing is not just this, are you? You should already see what it is. So if you send this out to space, they're going to say, what? Because the thing is, you have to understand, something's given to you through the X2000. The X2000 just did not send you this. So, and the space goes, wait a minute, that's not right. Right? So space and communication. Remember, the operation of the sun is everything through radiation and its calculation. So the sun is everything through portal line connections. Everything travels. The sun travels dimensional time positions. It tracks its locations through its reflection. So basically, when the sun gets in rotation, it knows exactly what you're doing through security line defense. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12, you're connecting to 12 divisions of time location. You're centering line your positions, right? So the space will get its allocated positions, communicates back to the locations of the sun, and everything through the moon position location. Okay, the sun and the moon. So it tracks its line connections, goes into division location, comes into, you guessed it, 3, 6, and 9 position location track. All right. So once you get into that position location, you can center line your connections into circle. Another rotation is center line position. This is where you come into the flux capacitor. See the flux capacitor? Now it gets complicated, doesn't it? Trying to understand what I'm doing is trying to understand everything through the connection of the sun and everything through the moon. So it's all allocated positions of 3, 6, and 9 traction, right? It's pretty amazing how you see these things. Like it's an optical lens, because that's what it is, right? These are 2 circle round connection line connections, reverse cycle and forward position line connection. So one track line connections opens its cycle to this position location, This goes in a secure line of fence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. So here and here, right? One's going this way, one's going that way. Right. So one's going this way and one's going that way. All right. So it's really interesting. Now I'm going to ask you, okay, point view of what's going on. Are they coming out or are they going in? Are they coming out or are they going in? What are they doing? Track its communication line connections, circle rotation and center position location, goes into higher levels. So the more you're structuring line connections, you're seeing higher force positions of time location. Okay? So it's really fascinating to see these things, right? I know you guys are blown away, but you have to understand, are these dimensions going out or are they coming in? And it's all done through the sun and it's all done through the moon. Remember, the moon and the sun can be any shape of any form positions you create through line connections, right? So everything through the sun is a hologram. Everything through the moon is a hologram. They're all both stations. They're all teleportation line connections, but they're all connected to you inside position to travel. So are they going in or are they coming out? Remember, one's going one way, one's going the other way. There's the answer. Which one? Which is going out and which is going in? Or are they both going out? They can't because they're in two different positions of time location. In. Which one's going in? The top or the bottom? Which one's going in, Samantha? The top or the bottom? It's complicated for you, Samantha, because you got to be 114 chakras and understand this. This is more for my team, for Rebellion Alliance, because they really have to understand how to travel through the force recognitions of time positions. So, okay. So basically, this is the true understanding. The top is going in. Okay. The bottom is coming out. Okay. Top is going in, bottom's coming out. It's pretty fascinating how we do these things. Pretty fascinating. This is more for my team. Okay. Samantha, if you try to understand it, that's okay, but it's extremely, extremely complicated information. But it's truly understand the calculation modifications, how one goes in and one comes out. All right. You were right. Top is in. See? So you're informing that position, which is really exciting. But it's amazing how it comes into that line connections, XT thousands. Right? So, and it's all in one position, all coming out, right? One way, right? So, and it's all about understanding the traffic. You know, you get a one-way, two-way when you're driving. Well, it's the same thing, but in space, it's a lot different, right? Because everything is created. Force reckoning and line connections. This is in and this is out. So whatever's coming in, okay, is going into the connections of the moon or the sun. Same thing, what's coming out from the sun or the moon, okay? So trying to understand how it's operated through position of time. Very, very powerful force. Right? So, very good, Samantha. Very good. So what does Galactica and Tina think of that? Would you think it was going to be easy? Knowing you got 114 chakras? Yay! What's next? This is where it gets really interesting and it gets a lot more harder. So it's amazing how you create two dimensions of time. You're thinking, wait a minute, dimensions just go in. No, dimensions come out. Wormholes come out too. In, out, in, out. That's the traffic. The same thing, you have that with one way and two ways and three ways and four ways. Four-way stop, right? Cars going this way, making a right. Cars going left. Cars going straight, right? It's the same thing, except it's stored in space. So you store it inside, and then you hold it in space through its reflection. And it affects everything through the atmospheres of your physical system. Okay? And then you get confirmation and say, okay, wait a minute, you did this wrong. It's supposed to be out and in, not in and out. Say, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. So you got to recorrect, reline, redivision positions and create a new dimensional time position. Right? So it's all about in and out, exits. You have an enter, you have an exit. That's all it is. Right? In, enter, exit. Okay? So it's really powerful when we see these things, right? So you start with that positions. Okay. It's really interesting when you come across these things, but you don't want to get in this position. Okay. Crash. Very basic. Okay. So you want to get into this position when you start creating. Get into your cycles, get in your circles, get in your rotations, get into high level positions, get into more creation, how you can create a dimensional time position. You can clock it system. So you're creating, right? All through you. This is you traveling and you're creating your own dimensional time. You're traveling and you're creating it all the time. It's going around and around. You're creating it, right? So once you finish creating it, you have to understand, what are you doing? Is it coming out or is it going in? Okay, so if it's going out, you're creating a downwind cycle, security line defense, right? If not, you're creating an upwind cycle. So it's like a cone. It's like wings, right? So you're creating it down, you're creating it up. So because the thing is, if you don't understand these things, the XT1000s come in like this. You say, what are you doing? Right? It has to know what you're doing. So if you're creating it, it's already created the dimensional time. So it's basically, if it wants to go down, it's going to go down its position, right? It's going to avoid you. It's going to go in its position to go down a dimension. But the thing is, too, if it doesn't understand its position, you're going to get lost through transition. You're going to get confused, and you're going to bump into the XT1000 location. Okay, so from here to here. So remember, it's all about understanding. When you come into a certain level of dimension, it's extremely acceleration, extremely fast, and it's going to suck you in. So you better know what you're doing when you're sucking in through a dimension, going in or coming out, because it's the force. It's the force that you create inside your positions, right? Your travel, your GPS. This is where it comes into beacons. This is where it comes into lights. This is where it comes into traction. This is where it comes into activation. You truly have to understand your dimension of time. So if it's coming into wormhole positions, it's getting very confused. It's going to create its own anomaly. And you both will be trapped and sucked in. Okay? So morning, Will. So what does everybody think about that so far? Let's see. Rainbow sprinkles, purple, incandescent, bubblegum, floating bubbles, turquoise, sparkling waterfall. Cool stuff. I'm just showing you what I can do now, guys, because I'm everything through the universe line system. I'm everything through space and time of travel. So I'm just showing you how it's important when you travel, you have to truly understand all these things that you create, because you can't combust anything in the atmospheres, because it will change the vibrations of its universal line system in your timelines. You have to know the day, month, and year you're going. Okay, very simple, very basic. So the XT1000s will scan you and say, oh, okay, great. 1960s, fine. Okay. It's true to understand how to put yourself in positions. You're going into time capacitor into the past, present, and future. So my team's in 114. They're coming out of their shapes now of their travels of 3, 6, and 9. They're coming into higher formations of the computers. So this is all about understanding coming into the weather and how it tracks its connection, because the galaxy is kind of like so complicated. You don't know which wind direction it's going, right? So it's all about understanding when you go outside, where's the weather? Is it here? Is it here? Is it going this way? Is it going that way? The higher you go through perception, the more you see the wind. You can actually see, right? Because the atmospheric positions is allocated to a box level system. So when you watch Superhuman, you understand what the atmosphere is. It's nothing but this. Point centers, right? This is all the atmosphere. This is what the atmosphere is. Okay, and this is how it tracks lines connected to all dimensional time position through XT1000s. So it changes the graph line system every single time through shape. It points its position, right, to its line system. But this is what the atmosphere looks like. That's all it is. And the XT1000 comes out of its realm like this into position. Okay? And it goes around. So it goes, so these are point centers of location. Okay? So it's amazing. When you go into centerline connections, you can basically vortex, time jump, time leap, whatever. You can go from here to here if you want. But you can't come out of the compilation. You have to stay in the centerline conditions. Because what happens, there's another realm hole here at the bottom location, which you're not aware of, that will suck you in through position. Right? So it's all about understanding the grounds of you, right? So, but this is what the atmosphere is. It's all through shapes. You travel through shapes, and that's why you see XT1000s go up and you see them going across. They come out of the wormholes and they go into another dimensional time position. They can time leap, time jump, vortex, or anything position. So, pretty amazing, eh? We got into that position before, right? We come into this. I keep showing you what you see through perception, how everything is put in position through digital line systems, right? So it's incredible when we see these things. Yeah, that's just his stomach line interference that will bounce up positions. So it's true to understand that the physical system is going to have more reaction to its body line conditions. I will go live on TikTok. I think everybody really has to pay attention to these things because the intelligence is waking up more and more, right? So it's like banging on your door. Okay, it needs to be set free. I don't know how many times I have to say this to everybody. It has to be set free. Okay. So, and it's all about understanding how it can't suffocate itself in system anymore. It has to go to its position. It has to be, it's a feeding operation system that needs its light. Okay. And like, it's like a cat needs its water, right? You know, it's thirsting. It's hungry. You know, it's the mouth is dry. You have to understand these things because it's all inside you. It's the operation inside you. It's not the outside. It's the inside. And once you have your thought positions, you're now controlling your own matrix, right? Matrix is positioned inside. The problem is that the physical system sees the thoughts outside. That's why they can't communicate to the matrix, because the matrix is not outside. It's inside you when you wake up. So I help you along the way to understand what the matrix is, because I created the matrix. And that's how the atmospheres are created. That's all it is, guys. It's all digital. There's nothing else. All done through shapes. But then you understand how XT1000s travel through dimensional time positions, right? That's all the atmosphere is. You just have to understand how to travel through it. Okay? So wheels feeling better? See? You have to learn how to adapt and feel better by yourself, but it's got to be communication from intelligence. My stomach line is off. Reposition line connections, resurface its position, change the oxygen level system. Done, right? So you have to have full communication inside, right? And where do the thoughts come from? Inside, not outside. Okay, so we have to stay out of the egos and balance its position of time. So especially when you go to higher levels of chakras. Okay, so it's true to understand when you come into this, you have to know what's going on. It gets complicated, right? Okay, this is going in and this is coming out. It's all structure line, and it's all coming from the sun, and it's all coming from the moon. So, and this is extremely, extremely real because you become more informed, you get more respect when you go to higher positions and they understand what you're doing through your travels. Right? And they'll say, oh, okay, go back to your commander. You don't know how to set up a structure yet. This is an inner line system. It's not an outer line. Okay. You start understanding your data processing, uplinks and downloads and upgrading. So it's very important for my team to understand their datas, their uplinks and their downloads and their upgrading systems, because it's calculated and modified when the XT1000 scan you every single day when you wake up through the grounds or your dreams. They come to you in any way and form. I got rotation light connections, circular light connections connected to me. I can't ignore that. You can't ignore switching going on and off because it's connecting to your intelligence. I say, whoa, what is that? Why is it flashing on and off? That's the physical. That's the ego. Get the ego out of the trap. Connect with the intelligence. Oh, okay, great. I got the number. Great. It will stop flickering. So you won't overexpose your positions of time, right? So you have to truly understand how intelligence comes to you in any way and form. The space is coming to you. Remember I did a video, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I've done so many videos on spiritual growth. Spiritual growth is very powerful, especially when you see yourself on YouTube. So it's amazing how we grow through time and its connection to space. So I was in a position where I was talking about the multiverse, the omniverse. We'll get into that next. Okay, you have to understand these things too, because now you come into dark center line systems, to dark universe. Dark universe is very beautiful, right? But you have to understand how to travel through it. Okay, so with the multiverse, I was doing a video on about all colorations and how we're in pattern defense positions and how you can actually see yourself inside through communication of colors. And everything through space and time lit up my shirt. And you saw it go different red. It was sparking. It's like a red light just going do, different colors, right? And you can see it reflecting from my YouTube channel, which is really cool, right? So when you see these things, it's amazing how space and time is communicating through you, through the multiverse, the omniverse, the spectrum-like connections, okay, the optimum levels, the millenniums. We'll get into the millenniums. You have to understand stargates. We'll get into stargates. Stargates are a lot of fun, okay? We'll go into the omniverse, and we'll see other planet line centers. It was really powerful. You come into these positions. But I really want you guys to get in position to point centers of atmospheres through your perception. So you can put your hands up in the atmosphere and change your shapes and anomalies. So the X2000 can come out of the realm location. It sees your hand formation light system because it lights up the skyline system. It sets up your core center. See that? See the angel? See the angel? See the shadow angel? The reflection? It changed position. See how it changed position? See? Now it's the starlight connections. Right? Everything is inside you, not outside. So thoughts, shapes, letters, numbers, dietary system, health, all inside. Everything inside. And now you're going to be able to travel. And you'll be able to identify yourself a lot better with intelligence from inside to outside. So you structure line your connections first. You get into your connections, your meditations. You come into higher formations through your breathing, right? Anything toxic, anything in that position, you breathe out. You breathe out the negative and bring in the energy, the good energy. Out with the bad and with the good, right? That structural line you understand is position of time location, okay? You have the grounds, you have the powers, and the atmospheres, right? And then you come in that position of travels. And then you set up your dimensions, okay? Where you want to go through the atmospheres. You can stay in the atmosphere. You can go into the atmosphere. But if you're going in the atmosphere, because you're already 5D, let's say you have 114 chakras, you're no longer in the fifth dimension. You think you are, but you're not. So it's understanding where am I? Where do I feel comfortable? So you already have to understand that you're traveling simultaneously each time. It's the second level to your time position, which is your clocking of dimensional time, right? So you have to know exactly what you're traveling through shapes, okay? And once you send the graphing connections, you can change the atmospheres of its shape position, right? Which is really fascinating, right? So that's why I created the matrix, so everybody understands what it is through shape, how to get out of shapes, how to travel through the mind of shapes and your navigation signals, okay? So you guys have any questions? Are we excited to go into the gateways, omniverse? We'll go into the multi-connection line system, multiverse. We'll go into universal lines. We're going to space stations, other planet line centers. You guys have to go through these experiences, okay? So you understand what you're up against to higher formations of dimensions of time and wormholes. There are wormholes that go faster and faster and faster. But as long as you know is that you're creating these things. And that's why it's so powerful, because it's all connected to you. Space inside you is just storage. That's all it is. It's open space. It's what you put in space inside, which is its creation. to its structure line system. Okay? So, all right. So I'll see you guys on TikTok live. Adios.